The docking bay lights of the astral courier flickered as the shuttle descended through the shimmering shield curtain. Cade Mercer stepped out first, boots clanking against metal, the dry air of Arvin Station hitting him like an oven blast. He blinked at the dusty pale glow of the twin suns through the windows and rolled his neck, trying to shake off 2 weeks of sleepless travel. The station was nothing to look at. Half-rusted metal, patched walls, entire hallways dimmed to conserve power. But it was alive with noise. Auctioneers haggling over scrap, smugglers whispering in corners, androids whirring past with crates of black market tech. Arvin Station wasn't a place of hope. It was a crossroads for those who had none. Cade fit in perfectly. And yet he wasn't here for any of that. He was here because someone had hired him, generously, to track down a missing researcher named Sarah Vallon, a xenobiologist suspected of tampering with forbidden genetic material. Word was she'd vanished into the deep desert of Threxos, a planet whose nights were rumored to strip the flesh from bone. Cade didn't believe half the stories travelers told. But he believed in credits. And Sarah's retrieval paid enough to buy a small moon. He walked through the dusty concourse, scanning the crowds. His contact was supposed to meet him here. A drink, a briefing, and then straight to Threxos. Instead, he heard a voice behind him. Smooth, cool, annoyed. "You're blocking the walkway, mercenary." Cade turned. A woman stood there, her posture sharp as a blade. Tall, athletic, skin sun-bronzed, hair black as deep space and braided down her back. Her eyes, striking silver, seemed to assess him in a single sweep, as if weighing his worth and finding him questionable. Her gear wasn't the usual spacer kit. Lightweight desert armor, flexible and heat-resistant. Twin shock blades strapped to her thighs. A portable atmospheric scanner on her hip. Every detail screamed Threxos veteran. Cade raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess. You're my contact." She smirked. "If you're Mercer, then yes. Captain Lyra Dahl, Threxos Ranger Corps. Retired." Retired. The word carried weight. Rangers didn't retire. They survived. That alone meant she was bad news wrapped in a beautiful package. Lyra jerked her head toward a dusty tavern at the corner. "Briefings inside." "Move." Cade followed, amused. He liked her already, though he suspected she hated that. Inside, the tavern was dim and buzzing with low conversations, the smell of alien spices heavy in the air. Lyra slid into a booth, dropping a datapad between them. "Sarah Vallon isn't just missing," she said. "She's hiding. On purpose." Cade frowned. Researchers don't tend to run into Deathworld deserts without good reasons. "Oh, she had a reason." Lyra tapped the pad. It flashed to life, showing images of a strange crystalline organism. Translucent, shimmering, pulsing faintly. Cade leaned closer. "What is that?" "Project Seraph," Lyra said. "A lifeform discovered beneath Threxos polar cliffs. It reacts to neural activity, reads emotional fields, maybe even amplifies them. The consortium classified it instantly." "And Sarah stole it." Lyra nodded stiffly. Then fled into the Arcline Desert, the deadliest grid of Threxos. Her gaze hardened. Nights there dropped to -200. Sandstorms rip metal apart. And the dunes shift. Cade met her stare, unflinching. "I've survived worse." She laughed. Sharp, disbelieving, almost mocking. "You think you can last a single night out there?" Her silver eyes glinted. "You'd never survive a night with me, Mercer." Cade only smiled back. "Try me." Lyra froze for half a heartbeat, surprised by his confidence. Then she stood. "We leave at dawn. I hope your smile's still intact when the sun sets." The desert of shifting dunes. Their shuttle descended into the endless golden-red sands of Threxos. Heat shimmered in waves. The sky was vast and merciless. From their landing point, dunes stretched toward jagged black mountains on the horizon. Cade stepped onto the sand and instantly felt the weight of the place. Dry, dangerous, humming faintly with something ancient. As if the desert itself listened. Lyra secured her pack and nodded toward a narrow path between unstable dunes. "Stay close. Threxos is alive. It watches." "And what exactly is it watching for?" "Fear," she said simply. "It likes to play with that." Cade wasn't sure whether she was joking. They trekked for hours, scanning for Sarah's tracks. At midday, Lyra crouched near a cluster of crystalline shards buried in sand. She came through here, she murmured. These formations react to stress. They fractured recently. Cade examined them. So she's scared. No, Lyra said quietly. She's conscious. That's worse. As they continued, Cade stole glances at Lyra, how fluidly she moved, how easily she adapted to shifting sands. She was a survivor in the truest sense. He understood now how she earned her reputation. By evening, they reached a canyon mouth where Sarah's last signal had pinged. And that's when the desert changed. Shadows lengthened unnaturally fast. Winds died. The heat vanished. Lyra stiffened. Mercer. Night falls in minutes. We need shelter now. Cade scanned the canyon. We camp here. No, she whispered. We hide. The temperature dropped instantly. Frost crawled across the sand. Cade felt something like fingertips brushing his spine. What the hell is that? Lyra grabbed his wrist and pulled him into a narrow crevice where heat generators flickered to life around them. Threxos night predators, she muttered. But they're not beasts. They're manifestations. Of what? Emotions. Memories. Fear. Cade laughed incredulously. Great. Lyra glared. Don't laugh. Do you know how many rookies I've watched lose their minds before dawn? He smirked. I'm not a rookie. Then stop acting like one. Nightfall. Darkness swallowed the desert. The wind moaned like something dying. Shapes moved outside. Shadows with too many limbs, whispers with no mouths. The sand trembled with their weight. Cade sat against the rock wall, knife drawn. Lyra adjusted the heater, casting a soft orange glow across her face. You seem calm, she said quietly. You seem annoyed by that. I'm annoyed because you don't understand this place. Threxos doesn't kill with claws or teeth. It kills with what you bring with you. What do you think I brought? She looked at him, really looked. Her expression softened unexpectedly. Something heavy, she murmured. Something you don't talk about. Cade didn't answer. Instead he watched the shadows glide past the crevice. Lyra moved closer, her shoulder brushing his. Listen. You're good at pretending. But if you want to survive until dawn, you need to tell me something that scares you. If you hold it in, Threxos will drag it out and make it real. Cade exhaled slowly. My fear? Easy. Not being able to protect the people who count on me. Lyra's eyes flickered. A match to his honesty. Then you're better than most mercenaries I've worked with. Your turn, he said. Her breath hitched. She looked away. I'm afraid of being alone when I die. Silence settled. Not mocking. Not pitying. Just silence. A shared understanding. They sat together until the whispering outside faded into a chilling calm. Then Lyra tensed, hand on her blade. Something's coming. Cade peeked through the crack. And saw a figure wandering across the frozen sand. A woman. Staggering. Alone. Sarah Vallon, Cade breathed. Lyra cursed softly. She's exposed. If those things touch her. But before she finished, Cade was already moving. The rescue. He sprinted into the deathly cold. Sarah collapsed just as he reached her. Frost clung to her eyelashes, her skin almost translucent. Cade Mercer? She whispered weakly. They found me, the echoes. Save your breath. He scooped her up and ran back toward shelter. But the shadows moved faster. A dozen shapes rose from the dunes, stretching toward him like living nightmares, each shifting into forms from his deepest memory. Fallen comrades, burning outposts, faces he couldn't save. Cade gritted his teeth and pushed forward through the hallucinations. Lyra burst from the crevice, blades crackling with electric charge. She sliced through the shadows, their forms dissolving into black mist. Move! She shouted. Cade dove inside with Sarah. Lyra ducked in after him, breath ragged. The shapes slammed against the rock walls, but none crossed the threshold of the heater's light. Lyra collapsed beside him, sweating despite the cold. You idiot, she muttered. That was suicidal. You'd never survive a night with me, he replied with a tired grin. Her glare melted into reluctant laughter. Don't use my own lines against me. Sarah's revelation. By dawn, the shadows vanished. Sunlight spilled over the canyon, and the temperature surged from freezing to blistering. Sarah sat up, clutching a crystalline vial that shimmered with inner light. Lyra stiffened. "You took it with you?" Sarah nodded. "I couldn't let the consortium weaponize it. Project Seraph doesn't just read emotions. It amplifies them. It can reshape neural pathways, heal trauma, enhance empathy, or destroy sanity." Cade frowned. "So you ran into the deadliest desert in the system because—" "Because Seraph reacts violently to fear and aggression," Sarah said. "It needed a calm environment. And Threxos tests every emotion." Lyra folded her arms. "You should have told someone. You would have stopped me." "You're damn right." Their argument simmered, but Cade cut in. "We need to get out of here. Shadows or not, more will come tonight." Lyra nodded reluctantly. "There's an extraction point at the Rift Cliffs. Half a day's march." Sarah hesitated. "Seraph is growing unstable. If we don't contain it, it might release an emotional shockwave across the desert." Cade shrugged. "Then let's hurry." The final night. They reached the Rift Cliffs by dusk, sheer black stone rising hundreds of meters. The extraction beacon hummed faintly. Lyra set up a perimeter. "We only need to survive one more night." Cade glanced at Sarah. She was pale, trembling, clutching the glowing vial. Then night fell. And the desert screamed. This time, the shadows converged like a storm, faster and stronger than before. The heaters flickered under the pressure of their presence. Sarah cried out as the vial pulsed violently. Lyra grabbed her shoulders. "You need to control it." "I'm trying." Cade stood between them and the approaching darkness, knife drawn. "Lyra, what happens if Sarah feeds off this much fear?" "It'll detonate emotionally," Lyra shouted. "Everything for kilometers will be swallowed by amplified hallucinations." Cade cursed under his breath. "Then we don't give it fear." He turned to Lyra. "Kiss me." Her eyes widened. "What?" Seraph reacts to emotional spikes. Terror amplifies it. But so does its opposite. Lyra hesitated only a second. Then she grabbed Cade by the collar and kissed him. Fierce, breathless, grounding. The shadows recoiled. The vial stabilized, glowing bright but steady. Sarah gasped. "It's working." Cade deepened the kiss until the darkness melted back into the dunes. When they finally parted, Lyra was breathless. "You," she whispered, "are trouble." "You started it," he murmured. Aftermath. The extraction ship descended with the first light of dawn. Sarah boarded, promising to hand Seraph to a neutral research council instead of the consortium. Cade turned to Lyra. "So, what now?" She crossed her arms, studying him with that same assessing stare he'd first seen in the docking bay. "You survived the desert," she said. "Barely. You helped." She smirked. "I told you you'd never survive a night with me. And I told you to try me." Lyra stepped closer, her voice low. "Maybe I should." "Is that an invitation?" "Call it a challenge." Cade smiled. The ship's engines roared behind them, but neither moved. The desert was brutal, merciless, alive. But he'd survived it. And more importantly, he'd survived her. Lyra extended a hand. "Come on, Mercer. Let's see if you survive the second night." He took her hand without hesitation. "Lead the way."